And where I am now is a really interesting spot, because instead of going, yippee, there's no anxiety, it's like I'm seeing things deeper, I'm seeing people deeper, I'm seeing my life from a deeper perspective. The things that I'm starting to look to put in place now kind of blow my mind. When they kind of say put a vision board together, and it's like, no, my mind couldn't have conceived. There's a deeper mind, because I couldn't have conceived the things that I'm about to enter into until I'd allowed that to become more real to me. Things like, property. I'm about to speak to somebody regarding building 24 houses on a site. I'm like, mental stuff. I'm a vocal. I'm like, when I look at me, you just think to yourself, who the heck am I to be imagining such craziness, about a vision to put talk skills clubs in cities across the country. I'm like, excuse my French, where the fuck did that come from? And also, where did it's like when that anxiety leaves, when those initial anxieties that you need money, that you need stuff, and you need contacts, and you need this, and there's always a barrier in the way to you. When that drops away, what's really scary is the immensity. It's like that Marianne Williamson thing, the immensity of the ideas and the plan. The thoughts are so much bigger, and you are such a small part of that bigger thought, and the immensity of it. That's the mind-blowing thing. I think it's more a case of sometimes I was hanging on to anxiety as a fear of having that immense vision, and even walking towards it and seeing what was possible. And that's kind of where I'm almost excited to look into the face of anxiety. That's a mad thing to say. Like, how could you look at anxiety, the things that you're doing, and go, that's an exciting journey to take? Does that make any kind of sense?
Yeah, and it's because the fear behind it's dropped away. That's why. So this is what happens. This is when I did that whole video on progress. Is like the relationship to anxiety changes. So it's not that the anxiety kind of, well, it does, as you can see, it just lifts and dissolves all on its own, right? But then other areas where you can see, your behaviors or whatever, it's just you're not scared of them anymore. You're curious about them. You're open to seeing more in a particular area. It's like, I wonder what I can see around this. And that's not anxiety, Angela. Like, there is no anxiety there. So that there isn't two spots left you need to sort out, because there is no anxiety there.
Well, in which case that is really just, it's odd. It's odd. It's like me losing my mom and suddenly being in a new. And it's like you've just gone into a new, and you're sitting down and going, well, it's odd, because that's not going to happen anymore, and that's not necessary anymore. And
you know what it's like, Angela, actually? It's funny. I'm reading this book at the moment called The Winter of Our Disconnect. And it's the most hilarious, brilliant book by this woman in Australia who basically took her whole family off the internet, off all screens, for 6 months. And the book is brilliant, but it's like her experience. I'm only halfway through it, but it's like her experience, right? It's like she wakes up in the morning and suddenly everything that was her familiar go-to and was the context for her life and how she ran her whole life, and she didn't realize how insidious it was, and she didn't realize how their family's conversations and their meal times and the structure of their day and what they would, like their car journeys, that everything in their life had been circulating around various devices. She had 3 teenage children, and it's like that when anxiety, especially if it drops away quite suddenly. And I know it's kind of been a slow process, but actually in the big scheme of like having had it for God knows how many years, so it's pretty swift when it goes, because it's only a thought. It actually goes in a heartbeat. But it's like you step out in the world and there's, like you say, there's infinite potential there. It's the big open,
mind-blowing.
When you don't realize the limitations that have been there before, when you've been so constricted and so limited.
And so kind of what you're saying to me makes sense in terms of that. Is like, I can, in myself as a human being, in my own, whether I've got money, whether I haven't got money, I'm as free as a bird. I'm as free as a bird to be and to to do things and to grow and to live, whether it's simply, whether it's expansive, the freedom is not that we expand in order to be free. It's like we're free before that. And I saw it so humongously for me that it was just like, oh.
Yeah, and it's that whole, you know, we had that call where we talked about the metamorphosis, right, from butterfly, from caterpillar to butterfly. It's like you have no idea when you're a butterfly what like even the concept or an idea of a butterfly and the existence of that is just not in your understanding. So it's
like being a new person. It feels like you kind of walk out in the same shell, but you're not the same.
Yeah. Same. Well, that's the whole thing behind the principles, isn't it? It's like different thinking, completely different experience of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful example of it.